Transition metals. Today we will study their general properties. And the first one is atomic radius, that is radius of an atom, distance from the center of the nucleus to the valence shell containing electron. We have studied in periodic table atomic radius increase on moving down the group because electrons are added in new shells. That's your group 1 alkali metals, atomic radius increase. Electrons are added in new shells. Second shell, valence electron goes to third shell, fourth shell, fifth shell and sixth shell. When we move down the group, atomic radius increase. Atomic radius decrease on moving along the period. Students, these are the elements of second period: lithium, beryllium, boron, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, fluorine. What will happen? Atomic radius decrease because electrons are added in the same shell and nuclear charge increase. But that is for S and P block. For transition metals, we know the electrons are added in penultimate shell and they shield the valence and s electrons. Electrons don't goes to valence shell, goes to penultimate, that is n-1, and they shield the valence and s electrons. Scandium 3d1, titanium 3d2, vanadium 3d3 and so on. Students, these electrons shield the valence electrons. So for the particular transition series, please look here, this is first transition series: scandium, titanium, vanadium, chromium, manganese, iron, cobalt, nickel, copper, zinc. Atomic radius decrease in the beginning. It is measured in picometer, all of you know. That's the first series: 164, 147, 135, 129. It decrease in the beginning, but after the midway it becomes almost same, almost constant, 129. We proceed up to 5 members, but it is still same, 128. And again there is slight increase at the end of the series. The key points are: number 1, atomic radius decrease in the beginning due to increase in nuclear charge. Due to increase in nuclear charge. After the midway, atomic radius becomes almost same because the magnitude of nuclear charge is neutralized by the effect of shielding effect. Magnitude of nuclear charge is neutralized by shielding effect because electrons are added in penultimate shell and they shield the valence and s electrons. That's the reason after the midway atomic radius becomes almost constant. At the end of each series, there is again slight increase in atomic radius because at the end of the series, the magnitude of screening effect is dominating over nuclear charge. That's the reason. At first, nuclear charge is dominating over shielding effect. When nuclear charge is dominating over shielding effect, that is, there is decrease in the size. When the magnitude of nuclear charge is neutralized by shielding effect, the radius becomes almost same after the midway. At the end of each series, there is again slight increase in atomic radius due to greater shielding effect of the n-1d electrons. Now students, when we compare the atomic radius of first, second and third series, all of you know in first transition series, electron goes to 3d subshell, in second 4d subshell and in third 5d subshell. The key points, the basic 3 points we study. The fourth point is the atomic radius of second transition series is greater as compared to that of first transition series. It is clear, in second transition series electrons goes to 4d subshell, hence their radius is more as compared to first transition series. But that's the most important last point. The atomic radius of third transition series after lanthanum is almost same that of the second transition series. That is, second and third transition series, they have almost similar atomic radius after the first member. 160, 158, 136, 137, 137, 138 picometer. It is almost same. And students, it is due to specific phenomena called lanthanide contraction. We know after lanthanum, there are 14 members from atomic number 58 to 71, cerium to lutetium, involve the filling of electron in 4f subshell. Why does pair of elements zirconium and hafnium possess similarity? Your answer is lanthanide contraction. This specific topic we will discuss in F block elements. What is lanthanide contraction? But its name indicate when we move along the lanthanoids they contract. It is called lanthanide contraction. Why does pair of elements niobium and titanium possess similarities? All times your answer should be due to lanthanide contraction. That's the first property, atomic radius. In atomic radius, what we study, students, second and third series they have similar radius, and after the midway atomic radius becomes almost same. Now the next property, second property, alloy formation. All of you know alloy, homogeneous mixture of metals. Again the question is, why transition metals form a large number of alloys? Alloys are formed by transition metals. Solder, an alloy of lead and tin. Brass, an alloy of copper and zinc. Electrum, an alloy of gold and silver. That is, they are transition metals. Why transition metals form a large number of alloys? Because they are quite similar in size. We study in atomic radius. That is, second and third series they have same radius. Please look here, almost same radius of silver and gold. After the midway atomic radius becomes same because they are quite similar in size. We use this term. Hence the atoms of one metal can substitute the atoms of another metal in its crystal lattice. Please look here, that's the crystal lattice containing gold particles. Now some of the particles they are replaced by silver. These are mentioned with blue circle. These are silver particles. Now what we call it? Alloy. The particles mentioned with red line they are of gold, and with blue line they are silver. Now it is called electrum. That is alloy of gold and silver. What is electrum? Alloy of gold and silver. Why transition metals form a large number of alloys? The students, you have to mention the key point, because they are quite similar in size. Hence, atoms of one metal can substitute the atoms of another metal in its crystal lattice. Thus, on cooling, a mixture solution of two or more transition metals, solid alloys are formed. After this, the next, tendency to form interstitial compounds. Students, again you should know alloys are harder and stronger than pure metals. Alloys are harder and stronger than pure metals, because in pure metals identical atoms are arranged, while in an alloy mixed metals having different size makes the atomic layers less irregular. Hence they cannot slide over each other easily. That's the reason alloys are harder and stronger than pure metals. In pure metals identical atoms are arranged, so their layers slide over each other easily. Tendency to form interstitial compounds. In it we are going to study the question, why transition metals have a tendency to form interstitial compounds. Students, at first you should know what are interstitial compounds. Interstitial compounds are formed when small non-metallic atoms are entrapped inside the vacant space of crystal lattice. Students, please look here, that's the vacant space. We study third law of thermodynamics. According to third law of thermodynamics, an ideal crystal at 0 Kelvin, has zero entropy. S is the symbol of entropy. It means it is regular. but regularity exists only at 0 Kelvin. At any temperature above 0 Kelvin, there is irregularity, that is free space exists. Now what will happen in this free space? Please look here, that's the vacant space present in the crystal lattice. Why transition metals have a tendency to form interstitial compounds? What are interstitial compounds? Compounds formed when small non-metallic atoms are introduced inside the interstitial sites of the crystal lattice of metals. Small non-metallic atoms, that is like boron, carbon, nitrogen, hydrogen, oxygen, etc. Now this is called interstitial compound. At first we study alloy. Some constituent particles are replaced, in these constituent particles are of same. Suppose these are of iron. But the vacant space which is present between these particles, here we introduce small non-metallic atoms. So it is called interstitial compound. The melting point of interstitial compounds is more as compared to that of pure transition metal. Because in interstitial compound there is strong bonding between metal and non-metal atom as compared to metal-metal bonding. Now please come here the question, why transition metals have a tendency to form interstitial compounds? Again the same reason, due to the presence of vacant space in their structures. Due to the presence of free space in their structures, hence they can easily accommodate small non-metallic atoms, leads to the formation of interstitial compounds. The next property, fourth property, that is catalytic property. All of you are familiar with the term catalyst, that is speed up the given chemical reaction. Any chemical reaction, suppose SO2 plus O2 leads to the formation of SO3. Assume it is completed in 60 minutes. But when we use catalyst, maybe nickel, platinum, gold. Generally we use nickel, platinum, Haber's process में Fe2O3. Now the question is, why transition metals and their compounds exhibit good catalytic properties? Transition metals and their compounds exhibit good catalytic properties. Students, the key point is because of their tendency to form reaction intermediates with suitable reactant molecules having low activation energy. They form reaction intermediate with the reactant having low activation energy. Students, the main concept is when activation energy is low, such reactions are fast. And when activation energy is high, such reactions are slow. Means high activation energy slow reaction and low activation energy fast reaction. Please, that's the graph. That's the path of the reaction in the absence of catalyst. Suppose SO2 plus O2 proceeds to give SO3. In the absence of catalyst, that's the path of the reaction. Reactant changes to product. We have studied activation energy, excess energy supplied to the reactant, so their energy becomes equal to threshold energy. When energy of reactant, students, touch this energy barrier, that is threshold energy, reaction intermediate is formed and immediately it changes to products. It is the root of the reaction in the absence of catalyst for this reaction. And second, when we use V2O5, that's the root of the chemical reaction. Now it is clear when we use catalyst, the amount of activation energy is less. Less activation energy means fast reaction. Why transition metals and their compounds exhibit good catalytic properties? Because of their tendency to form reaction intermediates with suitable reactant molecules having low activation energy. In the same way, the question may be, why does V2O5 act as catalyst? You have to mention same. The fifth property, tendency to show different oxidation states. Transition metals show different oxidation states. Students, iron, it forms ferrous salts as well as ferric salts. That is, exist in +2 oxidation state as well as in +3. Argon atomic number 26. The configuration is, iron atomic number 26. The nearest noble gas is argon. 4s2 3d6. Iron 2 means it will lose its electrons from 4s subshell. Argon 18 3d6. When it form iron 3, it uses its valence electrons 2 plus 1 electron from penultimate shell, that is 3d subshell. Argon 18 3d5. Why transition metals show different oxidation state? It is called ferrous, it is called ferric. Ice we use for higher oxidation state and Os for lower oxidation state. Ferrous and ferric, cuprous and cupric. Why transition metals show different oxidation states? Students, that's your general concept. It is any member that is having the symbol A. It form A positive, A2 positive, A3 positive. When it form A positive, it lost 1 electron. It form A2 positive, it is clear it lost 2 electrons. A3 positive, it lost 3 electrons. Now why it show different oxidation state? Because it can lose different number of electrons. The same reason is why transition metals show different oxidation states. The key point is because they can lose different number of electrons. It is due to the participation of inner n-1d electron in addition to the valence ns electrons. Students, that's the transition series. In the first transition series, the maximum oxidation state is shown by manganese. If we go with first transition series, manganese, argon 18, 4s2, 3d5, having atomic number, it show +7 oxidation state. +25 atomic number. In the first transition series, maximum oxidation state is shown by which member? Your answer is manganese, because first series starts from scandium and proceeds up to zinc. But in overall D block elements in transition metals, the maximum oxidation state is shown by osmium. In the periodic table, maximum oxidation state is shown by osmium, as well as rhenium also show +8 oxidation state. Why they show different oxidation states? Because they can lose different number of electrons. Starts from +2, +3, +4, +5, +6, +7. At first it uses ns electrons and then unpaired d electrons. Maximum oxidation state is shown by osmium. Students, one more important question. Name one transition metal which does not show different oxidation state. If it is D block element, then we can answer zinc. Because it is D block element, it is not transition metal. The definition of transition metal must have partially filled D subshell in elementary or oxidized form, while zinc always have D10 configuration. It always show 2 positive oxidation state. It is D block element. The question is, name one transition metal which does not show different oxidation state. Your answer should be scandium. Maybe the first member of any series. Students, scandium atomic number 21, argon 18, 4s2, 3d1. It does not occur in +2 oxidation state because it is highly unstable due to unsymmetry. It exists in +3 oxidation states. Name one transition metal which does not show different oxidation states. Scandium. It occurs in +3 oxidation states. Students, which is more stable, ferrous or ferric ion? Ice for higher and Os for lower. Which is more stable? Students, ferric, because of its stable electronic configuration and higher hydration enthalpy. The next property is melting point. Melting point. Transition metals possess higher melting points. Higher melting point means strong metallic bonding. Due to the presence of strong metallic bonding, they have higher melting point, and the metallic strength depends upon unpaired electron. More unpaired electron, more metallic strength, and hence more melting point. Friends, that's the transition series. At first, what will happen? D1, D2, D3, D4, D5. Maximum unpaired electron 5. After D5, what will happen? D6, D7, D8. That is, pairing will start. Unpaired electrons start decreasing. That's the logic. Melting point first increase and then decrease. Scandium, titanium, vanadium, chromium. That's the graphical representation. melting point first increase and then decrease. Manganese, iron, cobalt and nickel pairing will start. Why transition metals have high melting point? If it is of 2 marks, then please plot the graph also. Due to strong metallic bonding and metallic strength depends upon unpaired electron, more unpaired electron, more melting point. Now again important question, why zinc, cadmium and mercury have low melting point? Students, metallic strength depends upon unpaired electron. Zinc always occurs in D10 configuration, cadmium again in D10, mercury again in D10, because they have fully filled d subshell and hence weak metallic strength. Easily you can answer. Because they have fully filled d subshell, so weak metallic strength. After this, the next property is tendency to form coordination complexes. Coordination complexes, we will study the concept of coordination compounds in separate chapter, that is coordination chemistry. In coordination complexes, what will happen? Ligands donate electrons to metal ion and form coordinate bond. But the question is, in coordination complexes, the metal ion is always transition metal. That's the one example, NH3. The main identification of coordination complexes is they are in square bracket. Now the question is, why transition metals have the tendency to form coordination complexes? Metal ion is always transition metal. Due to small size of their ions, greater effective nuclear charge, and the key point is availability of vacant d orbitals to accept electron pair donated by ligand. Students, going to remind, that's the only question in which we use the term vacant d orbital. Otherwise, in transition metals, either we use partially filled or fully filled. Why zinc, cadmium and mercury, they are not transition metal, fully filled d subshell. What are transition metals? Partially filled d subshell. They have low melting point, again fully filled d subshell, so weak metallic strength. But in it, we use the term vacant d orbital, because coordinate bond is formed, ligand donate and metal accept. Ligand is donor and metal is acceptor. They have vacant d orbital because metal ion is in positive oxidation state, that is electrons are moved from d subshell. That's the 3 points: small size of their ions, greater effective nuclear charge and availability of vacant d orbitals. After this, the next property is again most important, tendency to form coordination complexes. Tendency to form colored complexes. Transition metals have a tendency to form colored complexes. Why compounds of transition metals are colored? Tendency to form colored compounds. Transition metals, students, copper sulfate, that is blue in color. Cobalt 2 salts, they are pink in color. Nickel 2 salts, they are green in color. That's the question, why transition metals or their compounds are colored? They have the tendency to form colored compounds. Students, whenever we go for the concept of color, why halogens are colored? In P block we study why halogens are colored. What was our answer? Due to the excitation of their valence electrons to higher energy level when exposed to visible light. Suppose it is fluorine 2, 7, 5, 6, 7. When sunlight, visible light strikes on it, electrons get excited to higher energy level depending upon temperature. In the excited state, they are unstable and return back to their original ground state. And during the back journey, they emit energy which have absorbed. Why halogens are colored? Due to the excitation of their electrons. We study alkali metals. Why alkali metals impart color to the flame? Because energy from the flame is sufficient to excite their electrons. Hence they impart color. For S and P block, students, the reason for color is excitation of the electron. Reason for color for X and P block is excitation of their electron. But for transition metal, students, the reason is DD transition. Why transition metals have a tendency to form colored complexes? Because they have partially filled d subshell and undergo DD transition. All of them show DD transition, hence they are colored: copper sulfate blue, cobalt salts pink, nickel 2 salts green. DD transition, students, please, the concept is, that's the degenerate d orbital. This is the set of 5 orbitals. What are transition metals? They have partially filled. Partially means minimum 1. Students, what will happen? Crystal field splitting. Due to electric field of the ligand, it split in 2 sets and these are called T2Z and EZ. Now according to Hawas's principle, that partially filled one electron goes to lower energy level. When again visible light strikes on it, it easily jumps from T2Z level to EZ level. And this concept is called DD transition. The transfer of electron from T2Z to EZ is called DD transition because the parent subshell is D subshell. What is the logic? Why transition metals have a tendency to form colored complexes? Because they have partially filled D subshell and undergo DD transition. You have to mention in the answer DD transition. Students, when sunlight, visible light strike on it, very small amount of energy from it is absorbed and electron jumps from T2Z to EZ level. The rest is emitted in the form of radiations, hence they impart color. Why does the salts of zinc, cadmium and mercury are generally white? Again, important question. At first we study they are not transition metal because they don't have partially filled D subshell. Then we study why they have low melting point. Again, they have fully filled D subshell and weak metallic strength. Students, we study melting points of transition metals. At first increase and then decrease. Transition metal, that is first series, second series and third series. The maximum melting point is of tungsten. In transition metals, the maximum melting point of which member? Your answer should be tungsten. W is the symbol. Filament of electric bulb is made up of tungsten because of its high melting point. Tantalum, it is resistant to corrosion. Hence, it is used to make after this tendency to form colored complexes. Why does salts of zinc, cadmium and mercury are white? Your answer is they have fully filled D subshell and do not undergo DD transition. Zinc 2 positive salts are white, while copper 2 positive salts, they are blue. Again, zinc 2 positive D10, copper 2 positive D9. It is clear DD transition will take place in D10. Takes place in D9. In D10 configuration, it will not happen. D10, when EZ level is paired, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. If EZ level is paired, this phenomena will not happen. Copper 2 ion has partially filled D subshell. Hence, it undergoes DD transition, while zinc 2 positive ion do not undergo DD transitions. After this, the last property is magnetic behavior. All of you know transition metals, they have partially filled D subshell, so they are paramagnetic. What's the magnetic behavior? They are paramagnetic in nature because they have partially filled D subshell, and the magnetic moment of transition metal is calculated by using the formula root n plus 2 bm, Bohr's magnetron, where n is the number of unpaired electrons. But students, I am again telling you the short trick how to find magnetic moment, and it is again important question with respect to your competitive exams. If it is D1 configuration, it has one unpaired electron and its magnetic moment is in the range of 1, it is 1.73 students. If unpaired electrons are 2, the magnetic moment will be in the range of 2.84. Unpaired electrons 3 in the range of 3.87. Unpaired electron 4 in the range of 4. 5, it will be in the range of 5. It is clear, we can easily calculate unpaired electron. D1 1, D2 2, D3 3, D4 4, D5 5. When there are 5, its answer should be in the range of 5. 4 in the range of 4, 4.90. Please, there are some questions. What is the magnetic moment of ferrous ion? And these are the options. Students, ferrous ion, argon 18 3d6. How many unpaired electrons are there? 4. So we will tick the option 4.90. How many unpaired electrons are in nickel 2 positive ion? Again, these are the options. But at first we should know unpaired electrons, nickel 2 argon 18 3d8. It is clear it has 2 unpaired electrons. We will tick the option 2.84. Many times in competitive exams this question will be there. How many unpaired electrons are in any, maybe cobalt 2 positive, maybe ferric ion. But only you should know it's D subshell. Fe3 positive D5, we will tick the option 5.92. That's all with respect to the properties. Highest melting point is shown by which transition metal? Tungsten. Maximum oxidation state is shown by osmium. In the first transition series, maximum oxidation state is shown by manganese. Tantalum, it is resistant to corrosion. Thank you.